the car incident. We're driving uptown, headed to the sundry store, and a University of Cincinnati commercial comes online, and it says, "You can go to college too. Just sign up to do this." And I looked at my mom and said, "I'm going to college." And I about went through the windshield. She hit the brakes and looked at me and said, "What'd you say?" I said, "I'm going to college." She said, "You're not going to college. You're not going to do anything but be like your dad and your uncles and not do anything." Now, that was the one thing you couldn't say to me and not hurt my feelings, because that would hurt my feelings tremendously. So at that point, I decided that, I'm going to graduate high school, at least graduate high school. Come back my senior year, had a great summer, and there's an incident in the hallway. I get in a fight. Now, the people wanted to expel me from school, but my mom came in like, "No, he's not being expelled. He was defending himself." So she stood next to me, and I got 5 days suspension. Now, during those 5 days, you end up getting 5 zeros. And I wasn't a big books person anyway, but I knew that if I didn't do something to change the outcome of this, then I wouldn't be playing basketball. Not that I thought I was going to lead anywhere, but it was about the only positive thing I had going in my life. And so ended up taking a lot of extra class work, but it came down to this one class. And for me, to try to hopefully let you know how I felt back then, being the only African-American kid in my classroom in American history, talking about the Civil War times. So the N-word came up quite a bit, and it always seemed like this teacher would always point to me when it was, I'm counting paragraphs. "Oh man, he's got me speaking." So I thought this guy was pretty, I didn't think he had a good bone in his body for me or for anybody from that. So I took his test. I could only miss one answer. After it's over, he tells me to sit down. I sit down, and he goes, "Mr. Grant, what is this shit?" And I'm like, I don't want to make any excuses, but I was cramming. But I don't want to make any excuses. He said, "You just made one." And so he looks at me and tells me, "Son, you can't fight the world every time somebody calls you a name, because you'll be fighting every day of your life. You just got to keep on moving." And then we went down through the problems. Every one that I got right, he changed it. And the ones that I got wrong, which were none, he didn't. So I want you to imagine how I felt going back, looking over things in my life and trying to decide what was it that got me to this point, to this position. It was a little old man that I thought was racist who gave me a second chance, because if I don't pass that test, I don't play basketball. I'm probably not standing here in front of you people today speaking, but he did do something, and call it divine intervention, what have you, but he did something, and this is the result of what he did. Allow me to be here to speak to you guys about my journey with Parkinson's. I'm gonna go the right way here in a minute. Okay, there's me playing basketball. No, don't look at the shorts. Come on. And back then, those were considered pretty long. This is me and 4 of my buddies, graduation day, something that my mother definitely didn't think was gonna happen. Neither did I. But went out that year. We had one of the best seasons in Georgetown basketball history, and it earned me a scholarship to Xavier University in Cincinnati. And I was the 5th player to receive the scholarship, so I was the last one. I had no big titles, nothing. I was 3rd team state, Division IV, which isn't saying much of anything. But I ended up going to college. Okay, here we go. College wasn't much longer either. But I ended up getting a 4-year scholarship. And when I got there, I like to talk about humility, thinking about what my grandfather said to me. If you're good enough, your players show it. You don't have to, show it anymore by talking smack. And I always went with that. And there were two guys that were in the same position as I was. And I can remember being in the cafeteria and this kid saying, "Who are you?" And this guy goes, "Oh, that's Brian Grant. He's gonna play after I leave for the NBA." "Ain't that right, Brian?" I'm like, "Yeah." He hadn't played against me yet. And so 2 nights later, we had our pickup games, and I put it on him, just feel like that. Riley said it best. You can't control anything but your effort. And sometimes even when you control your effort, things don't turn out the way you want. But I never stepped on that court without thinking that I was going to lose or something to this person I'm playing against. I always knew I had a chance so long as I could outwork them. Let's see what this next one is. Anyway, boom. I ended up starting all 4 years at Xavier. I was MCC Player of the Year twice. After the end of my college career, I pretty much thought that was it. Until I had 3 agents show up at my coach's office. Sorry about that. Show up at my coach's office, telling them that they think that I could maybe play overseas. So I said, okay, great. And the third person that came in and spoke to me told me he thought that I could be one of the biggest surprises in the draft. So I ended up going with the guy that believed in me. And, because I surely didn't believe in myself at that time. I definitely didn't believe in myself. Anybody else need some water? Here we go. All right, so I ended up going with this guy. His name is Mark Bartelstein. He runs Priority Sports out of Chicago. I was scared, I was nervous because now I was going to end up going against guys who were supposedly NBA caliber. I ended up going to this camp in Phoenix where they evaluate you as a player. And I can remember the first night being there, this guy was asking everybody, "Hey man, how many letters did you get under your door? How many did you get?" And then he came up to me, "Hey Grant, how many did you get?" I go, "I got one from the Knicks." He goes, "Everybody gets one from the Knicks." So I think you can see where this is going as far as being able to take an insult, a lightweight insult, and turn it around into something positive. That was exactly what I was going to do. And so that first morning at the camp, you had to shoot a jump hook. I don't know if we got any coaches or anybody out here, but for me, if you wasn't already practicing a jump hook, you wasn't going to shoot the best one. So sure enough, I went in, 7 of us went into this gym lined with GMs and coaches, and I take the ball and boom, top of the backboard. And everybody starts laughing. So I'm looking for the door, like I'm creeping. And some guy grabbed me and said, "Just get in line, Brian, don't worry about it." So I called my agent at noon. I'm all upset. I'm telling him, man, I shouldn't have came here. I think I just ruined an opportunity to get some money overseas. He goes, "Brian, they're not gonna pay you because you can make a jump hook. They're gonna pay you because you are effortless. I mean, you that's all you are, is all heart and all effort. Just go out there and do that." So I did. And that first night, I went up to Khalid Reeves and Anthony Goldwire, who were my point guards, and I told them, "Look, if I get that rebound, give it to you, and I'll beat everybody down the court. We throw it back." And they were like, "You gonna beat everybody down the court?" I said, "I'm gonna beat everybody down the court." Sure enough, I ended up doing that, and I ended up with like 22 points, 20 rebounds, first night. And thank you. And I went from 1 letter under the door to about 20 letters under the door. So. But yeah, that was good. I still wasn't in the place to believe that something like this could happen to me. Just like high school, I wasn't in a position to think that going to college could happen to me or for me. But let's see.
With the 8th pick in the 1994 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Brian Grant from Xavier University.
Brian Grant is not here in the Hoosier Dome, but Brian Grant from Xavier has really moved up in the postseason camps, and a lot of people around America will not know this young man. He's really the first player selected so far whose name has not been very popular among college basketball fans. But as you take a look, this is a man who can come in and contribute right away from Xavier.
We have to look at him and realize he's the conference player of the year for the last 2 years. He's a rebounder, a shot blocker, an excellent defender. He's well coached. Pete Gillen turns out excellent front court players. When they come out of the stable, they usually make it in this league. Now you're looking at him, he's a very humble.
We'll just leave that right there. Another little funny story about being drafted and not going to the draft. My agent sends me 2 tickets. He says, "Here's tickets for you and your mom." I go, "I'm not going to the draft." He goes, "What? You're not going?" I go, "Mark, I don't want to be one of those guys who are sitting up there who thinks they're supposed to get drafted here and then it's back there." He goes, "You're going to get drafted. You need to go." So I said no. And I decided to spend it with my mom and my dad and my grandparents and a bunch of friends at this apartment place I was living. And this is sort of a glimpse. Yep, we missed that one. Okay, here we go. So that's us. That's my uncle is in the blue shirt. He's in the blue shirt, and that's my dad on the other side of him. And that's my mom leaning forward. And so when the 6th pick came, my phone rang, and I ran around back, and it was Sacramento saying, "Are you ready to be a king?" I said, "You're drafting me 8th?" And they said, "We're drafting you 8th." I said, "All right." He goes, "Don't tell anybody." So I come back in, and I go, "We're getting drafted 15th. Everybody's like, "Oh my God." And my mom, she's over there acting like she's fainting. Oh. But then it was funny because when the 8th pick was chosen, they were only on the clock for like 20 seconds. And then my name came up, and it was like the record had scratched, like everybody's like, Mom fainted again. Dad sitting there, "Oh hell, Gigi, get up." But no, I was so glad I was able to share that moment with my family and have them be a part of that. So I got drafted to the Sacramento Kings. I loved Sac. It was a small city, but it was West Coast. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen growing up in my rural town. And there was a lot of opportunity too. Second team I played for was the Portland Trailblazers. I almost got them mixed up. Had some good years there. If I was going to win a championship, it would have been with that team right there. But instead, we decided to blow a 15-point lead over 5 minutes in the 4th quarter. So we didn't get one. My mentor, I have to put a picture of him up there because he is, he's a coach, but he's a mentor and he knows it. And I love that about Pat Riley. I didn't love all the running and my knee and back all messed up, but I definitely loved the way he believed in us. Let's see. That's my Miami Heat team. The year I got traded. Well, after this year I got traded. But we had a pretty good squad. Lakers. Any Laker fans in here? I wouldn't clap. No, that's okay, you can clap, man. And that's my best friend, Pat Burt. We both signed with Phoenix the same day, and it was just awesome. Let's see. All right. In comes retirement. After a 12-year NBA career, it's time to retire. But now I'm going through this deep depression. And I have to tell you, I was one of those people that thought if you had depression, you basically were saying that you were weak-minded. I know I'm so wrong with that. It's just on every level wrong to say that, because I went through 9 months of depression right after I was drafted, and right after I retired, and depression's no fun, you know? Depression is no fun. So I couldn't get any answers in Miami, so I moved back to Portland, Oregon, where my heart lied. People I loved were back there. So I took the family back to Portland and went and saw the neurologist. And I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this. When you went to go see the neurologist, I'm still trying to figure out how that says I have Parkinson's. But yeah, I went through the routine, and after thoroughly checking me over, Dr. Nett at OHSU said he believes I had Parkinson's. And so it was a tough year that year, finding out you're depressed, finding out you possibly have Parkinson's. You torpedoed your marriage with your depressed state, and what was left, I tell you what was left for me, and that was to not sit on my ass and do nothing. I refuse to do that, and I've seen people with this disease who refuse to move, and if you're one of them, get out there and move your body, stay fluid. I've had it roughly about 12 years, and I attribute things going well for me because I do try to keep it moving. I do try to help when I can help, but gotta keep moving. Okay, here we go. So there's 60,000 of us in the U.S. of A that have Parkinson's. That's about 7 to 10 million worldwide. Once I announced that I had Parkinson's, it was eye-opening, because it would be like me sitting here with all you guys and we're talking about a lot of different things. And then, dude, do you know Brian has Parkinson's? Yeah, I know. My cousin has Parkinson's. My daughter has Parkinson's. It's just, so many people are affected by this disease, and some people think that it's better not to talk about it, sweep it under the rug, it'll be okay, but it's not. You gotta be able to get out there, and you gotta be able to be a part of society, because the Parkinsons will do it for you if you don't want to do it. Let's see. 2 mentors. Michael J. Fox. I'm a huge Fox fan. I love all his work, his movies. And then Muhammad Ali. It was a great honor getting to meet the champ, get to know him for a little bit. But I think it meant a lot more than my dad. My dad grew up in that era with Ali and everything. And right there, I was with an individual that couldn't really speak anymore. But he did communicate with his eyes. So I feel blessed to have been able to have met him. Another reason I put that on the board is because they both ended up giving me a call when I was diagnosed. Lonnie Ali was more like an aunt or a sister, somebody calling you. It's like, baby, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be all right. And I appreciated that. I appreciate that. But Michael J. Fox, he just went right to it. He says, Brian, what do you want to do with this? I go, I don't know. He goes, well, you have time, but the sooner you figure out what you want to do, the better, because we need people like you and me to be able to bring Parkinson's to the masses. And he also said that he's starting to slow down. So, it's time to start passing torches. Like torches. I ended up creating the Brian Grant Foundation if I can get my page over there, to provide proven tools to improve well-being of people who are living with Parkinson's. Catch it. Wrong one. You can laugh. So, I used to have a foundation. It was called the Brian Grant Foundation. It was sort of like a pass-through foundation, meaning if you wanted to donate or give, you could go through the foundation and be able to help whatever cause you want to help. But once I was diagnosed, it was time to change my mission. It was time to come back and see what I could do to join the fight with Ali and with Michael. And at times it gets rough and hard, but I look out there at a lot of these faces out there, and I know that getting out of bed can be hard. I know that when I see clouds moving past my window in Portland, it's gonna be a rough one. But that rough one is what motivates me to get up each and every day and be a part of things. Not just leave it up to the next person to take care of it, but to actually be a part of it myself. Let's see here. We focus on two things, exercise and nutrition. This disease is a disease that wants to slow you down and lock you up. So therefore, you have to keep moving, have to keep participating, giving whether it's your time or your money, what have you, because it doesn't have to be 30, 40 years before we find a cure. We could see one in our lifetime. We just all continue to contribute. So on the exercise, something I need to do a little bit more of. We have our trained professional trainers where we actually certify trainers to be able to train Parkinson's patients, which is good because you don't want to just go to any old body that just is trying to get you ripped up and get muscles, because you could really hurt yourself, especially with all the rigidity and things that we feel. Exercise videos. With nutrition, I really love our nutritional classes. They come up with some crazy stuff. But it's all stuff that's really good for us. It breaks down in the body and helps with symptoms. Click it.
All right, move out, you guys, if you guys want. You
Okay,
ready?
I'm gonna play this video. This video was climbing Mount St. Helens. Here we go.
All right, move out, you guys, if you guys want. You ready? Hit them up.
I think you should put a playlist together.
How you guys feeling up there? How's your leg? Your abs? Lower back? All right, good.
Here it is. We are at 4478.
Oh, like 4,000.
That's what you want.
Coming down with Parkinson's humbled me in a way that I don't think anything else could have. You know, being diagnosed at the age of 36, I'm losing everything that I've ever built and come to know with my body, and it's slowly being taken away from me. My last year in NBA, I was with the Phoenix Suns, and I was starting to see some changes in my body. I knew that there was something going on, I didn't know what. The ego and pride that you kind of build up over the career starts to just get knocked down. You're not this anymore, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's something I think every Parkinson's patient has to come to grips with, and for someone like me, who's an athlete, whose body has served him well for years, it's really hard to wrap your mind around something that you have that you're not going to be able to fix. And no matter how hard you fight it, it's going to eventually win.
How you feeling? Abs, back, legs.
definitely, if you can get it, keep it in the mind that you're gonna make it, I think that you can make it. I think I'll make it. I don't know, I'm gonna see what's over this ridge up here. It's kind of like the motto that I have for everything. To overcome, just to power forward. That's my motto, is to keep powering forward until I can't go any further. I'm inspired every day by each and every individual that I know with Parkinson's, because everyone's dealing with a different issue. Parkinson's is just something that, it's like luggage that you're carrying along with you. But you kind of find yourself again and realize that, this is me walking through life with Parkinson's. It's not Parkinson's leading me through life. Now, you know what? We're going to make it. We just got to keep pushing. I just thought it would be a nice way for myself and other Parkinson's patients to show one another, first and foremost, and show ourselves that just because we have this disease, we don't have to sit on the sidelines. I need some love. And today we proved that by making it up this damn mountain. Oh, look at that. Wow. We still got to get down it, but, we did it. We did it.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see where I put the clicker. No, I know I had it. Oh, yeah. Thank you. A lot of people ask me, why'd you do that? Why would you risk possibly getting injured or hurt? To prove what? And I said, to prove that I don't think about getting injured or hurt. The moment I start saying I can't do this or I can't do that because of Parkinson's, shut the door and throw away the key, for me. So it was very important for me to get up there, and I think the challenge that everyone had was enjoyable. They enjoyed it. I'm not going back up it, but right here's my life now. 4 boys. I'm sorry, 6 boys and 2 girls. Those are my boys. These are my 2 girls. Yeah, I was right. He said something about liking a skateboard. I thought I'd bring a picture in just so, anybody had any questions about it. Surfing, took that up 3 years ago. Gotten to the point where I can paddle and pop in, but I always wipe out. Now, this one was, I was kind of up in the air about this one. I didn't know. I figured it had to be easier than snowboarding. But after a few wipeouts, it's just as rough.